Solve the equation sine 2x minus cosine 2x equals 1 plus sine x minus cosine x for x belongs to minus pi to pi. Since we see sine and cosine with arguments that are not x, we can pull up the formula booklet double angle identities found on page 7. With these, we can rewrite sine 2x and cosine 2x in terms of an argument of just x. Sine 2x will become 2 sine x cosine x, and we have a few options for what we can replace cosine 2x with. In this case, we can try out the second form, which is 2 cosine squared x minus 1. Next, we can group together the sine terms and the cosine terms together. So 2 sine x cosine x will be grouped with minus sine x, and 2 cosine squared x will be grouped with cosine x. We can then take out the minus 1 out of the brackets, and it will cancel out with the 1 on the right-hand side. Next, we can observe that there are some common factors in both of these groups. So we can factor out sine x from the first group, and we can factor out cosine x from the second group. And what we get is actually the same term, 2 cosine x minus 1, in both of these groups. So that means we can factor this out. So what we're left with is, in parentheses, sine x minus cosine x, and in another parentheses, 2 cosine x minus 1, and all of that equals to 0. This means that either one of these terms must be 0 to satisfy this equation. So let's start with the first term. So this means that sine x minus cosine x must equal to 0. So sine x equals cosine x. We can divide both sides by cosine because we know that sine over cosine is tan. So that means tan x equals to 1. I will draw the unit circle to help us figure out what x equals when tan is 1. So it's pi over 4, and it's also 5 pi over 4. However, we must remember that the domain is minus pi to pi, so the answer would be minus 3 pi over 4. Now let's talk about the second factor, which must also be equal to 0. So 2 cosine x minus 1 is 0. So that means that cosine x equals to 1/2, and x equals to pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. But remember that 5 pi over 3 is out of the domain, so we write minus pi over 3. So the final answers is that x is minus 3 pi over 4, minus pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 3. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something new, and I helped you answer this math question.